What's going on, guys? Back with another video. So Jingle he posted this on X. I know Pierre Poilievre put this ad out today. Well, it's not really an ad. It's just kind of like a video of him talking about how we could be the richest country in the world, which is his campaign promise and probably why the reason that Donald Trump didn't want him to win, right? We know Donald Trump's got an ego. He doesn't want Canada to be richer than the United States. But the problem is, for Canada, is Mark Carney does not want the same thing either. So Jingle he says, Pierre Poilievre tours one of the most important towns in the Canadian economy called Hardisty, a tiny town of 623 people in Alberta that moves $90 billion in energy a year. Pierre understands what it takes to make Canada the richest country on earth. So we're going to have a look at this, but before we do, please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really does help the channel grow. We're getting really close to that 10,000 subscriber mark, so please do whatever you can to help me get there. I really, really, really appreciate you guys so much for all this. It really means a lot to me. So let's have a look, and then we'll talk about it after.
East Central Alberta, where you might expect to find grain silos and pickup trucks outnumber people, lies one of the most important towns in the Canadian economy, with $90 billion of annual economic activity, home to just 623 people. Hardisty is the kind of place you might not even notice as you drove by, not realizing that you passed one of the most powerful energy junctions on the continent. It helps pay the nation's bills and powers the lives of millions of people. Every single day, 4.1 million barrels of oil flow out of the tank farm in this tiny town. As I said, it's $90 billion in economic wealth that flows through this system, which works out to $150 million per resident in the town. The economic value that goes through this town is nothing short of miraculous. Hardisty's system pushes 80% of Western Canada's crude exports out to the world every single day. 600,000 barrels of oil flow through the Keystone pipeline, another 800,000 through the Alberta Clipper, which is Enbridge's major export line to the US. And beneath the prairie sky, which is a little cloudy today, is an ocean of oil. Hardisty houses over 38 million barrels in these tanks, 38 million barrels of oil. It's like, this town is like the heart of hydrocarbons pumping liquid power through the steel veins that we call pipelines. Now, what if those pipes are full? Well, Hardisty has a plan B for that too. Rail. The rail terminal can haul 210,000 barrels of crude every single day. It connects directly into Gibson's pipe network, turning trains into the liquid relay race, swift, seamless, and always moving forward. Hardisty is also the birthplace of Western Canada Select, which is Canada's signature crude. Now, here's the problem. We don't get a fair price for our crude because we give it all to the Americans. We basically have one customer due to the fact there are not enough pipelines to get our oil to Tidewater and overseas. The Liberals blocked Energy East and they blocked the Northern Gateway to the Pacific, and therefore the Americans get 90% of our oil, and much of that production is capped and blocked by terrible Liberal laws. That's why we need to get rid of the energy cap, C-69, the no new pipelines law, C-48, the tanker shipping ban, the industrial carbon tax, which makes it more expensive and uncompetitive to produce the energy here in Canada. Getting rid of all these things will unlock even more production, and that's big news for a town like Hardisty. It's not a capital or a trendy urban hub. There are no glass towers or media buzz, just iron, oil, and ambition. This is Hardisty, a town of a few hundred people, an energy gateway to hundreds of millions more. A quiet giant, small on the map, but big in importance. So the next time you fuel your car or board an airplane, the next time you use anything that was shipped in a diesel-powered truck, like the one that just went by, that means everything you get. The next time you eat food that was made by a farmer that uses a fuel-powered tractor, well, thank Hardisty. Better yet, thank the engineers, trades workers, and business people whose geniuses sent you the magical molecules that heat, light, and move us. Speaking of moving, let's get going.
So, a lot of the things he talked about, like, I'll be honest with you guys, I know nothing about how energy is actually produced, created, but it's very interesting to learn about these little towns and, places like Alberta. I'm sure they have more than just this one town called Hardisty, but I'm sure they have more in Saskatchewan and even places in northern Ontario that produce a lot of energy that, dig up a lot of minerals that we could use and also sell. Right, the amount of assets that we have in the ground could easily make us the richest country in the world. And like I said before, that's why Mark Carney and the Liberals don't want to access it. It's not because of Indigenous land and anything like that. It's because they want Canada to be poor. Because when Canadians are poor, they have to rely more on the government. That's what they want. That's what all big governments want. That's why we need a smaller government that just wants to get things done, serve us, do their job, and then leave us the hell alone. That's what a government's job is to do. But you have all these liberal communist wannabes who just want the government to be their daddy. Where is Hardisty, by the way, anyway? Let's have a look at this on the map. Alberta. Typing slow because I have to hold my microphone in my hand because it broke. So sorry about that. It's a little bit of a delay. So this is a town, and see, you can see how tiny it is, right? Oops. Yeah, so it's basically, I think this is actually in Pierre's new riding. So it's in, like central Manitoba-ish, just between Edmonton and Calgary, but to the east. But I believe this town is actually in Battle River Crowfoot. So it's good that Pierre's going around in his riding to kind of show people, hey, look what's going on in our small towns. Look what we're building. Look what we're doing. Look at how important this place is. And, next time you eat food from a farm, which is pretty much where all real food grows anyway. Fake food that's produced with sugar and fructose syrup and all that. Okay, those are produced in factories, but that's crap food anyway. It's not even really food if you actually think about it. But when you eat things like bread and you have a salad, you have some meat, all that comes from farms, right? So, and what do farms need? Big tractors, a bunch of machinery that has a bunch of that uses a bunch of fuel. So this little town here in Alberta is extremely important. And Pierre Poilievre is doing us all a favor and letting us know, hey, this is where one of these places are. This is where a lot of energy is produced, and this is one of the towns that I've been talking about my whole election campaign. Towns like this could make us extremely rich, amongst many, many others in this country. And also, like I said at the beginning of the video, that what would really piss Trump off? If we became one of the richest countries in the world. He doesn't want that. He wants America to prosper. And also, why do you think he wants Canada in the first place? Because of the lovely people we have here? No, he wants it for the energy. If Canada and the U.S. combined, not that I'm saying it should, if it did, it would be by far the biggest economy ever and the richest country ever. Way richer than China. Way richer than Russia. Way richer than India. But we have all these blocks like Bill C-69, which doesn't allow us to bring out all the energy that we have. Just sitting in the ground. We have an oil sands in Alberta that's bigger than Switzerland. Think about that. Think of all the money that could be made. But who cares? You don't need money when you're a communist. You just want to sit around and play your video games and do nothing and contribute nothing and just let the government pay you. Which works out fine until the government runs out of other people's money, which is why communism doesn't work. And you can say the same thing with socialism. Pierre doesn't want socialism. He doesn't want communism. He doesn't want a big government. He wants to do his job and leave you alone to live your life. And that's what a real government should do. And that's why I'm going to continue to support Pierre Poilievre and continue to support him throughout his leadership review, as all conservatives should be. He's the man for the job. Yes, there's a lot of good conservative members in caucus. I've named them, not all of them before. There's too many to name, but we all know who Michael Barrett is, and Larry Brock, and Melissa Lantzman, Raquel Doncho, etc., 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 etc. There's a lot of good candidates, but Pierre is the guy to lead those people. I know it. You know it. They know it, and I think Pierre knows it too. That being said, I don't understand how it could go any other way at the leadership review. I really think that Pierre's gonna he's gonna win with maybe even more votes than what Max and Bernier got at 79%. So he's gonna be the PPC leader, but I think Pierre's gonna overwhelmingly win his leadership review, and we're gonna see more of him. And he's gonna be back in the House of Commons. He's in September, and he's gonna be really going after the Liberals because this is probably gonna be kind of a rough summer. No pipelines will be built, less money will be made, less jobs will be created, a weakened economy, and apparently now no trade deal with the U.S. Unless Mark Carney gets rid of that DST tax, but we'll see. Either way, I'm getting a little bit off topic here, but let me know what you think about this video. I always love it when Pierre brings out these kind of, I don't know if it was like an ad or just, a video kind of showing, how we could be the richest country in the world, but it reads off like an ad to me because this makes me want him to be prime minister even more. And I already wanted him to be prime minister, don't get me wrong, but when I hear him speak and he does these videos and he talks with common sense and he presents ideas very, very well, and not only that, but explains how things work. I don't know how these things work. But I bet if I spent an hour or two with Pierre Poilievre, I'd know way more because he's a very good speaker. He knows how to talk to people. He's good at explaining how things work, not just saying, hey, here's my idea and take it or leave it. He explains why these ideas work. He's explaining why Hardisty was such an important town in this country, how much energy it creates. These are important things. If you want to be a leader, you have to do those things. I don't really see that with Mark Carney. With Mark Carney, I see more of a, hey, this is what we're going to do, and if you punish me, I'm going to censor you online. That's the kind of read I get from Mark Carney. Hey, yeah, I know a deal with the U.S. is important, but I don't really care enough about Canada because I don't care if they're poor. He's never going to be poor. Why would he care about us? But we'll see. Anyway, getting a little bit off topic, going on another rant. But let me know what you think of the video. And again, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help grow the channel. Thanks so much again for all that you do. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back shortly with a new one.